My name is Tania Steenkamp. I'm 50 years old. I have a son and I live with my husband Willem. And I work as an HR and ESG manager for a green construction company. I was very tired and was getting very ill frequently last year, which is unlike me. And in August, I went to the Kruger Park with some friends, and while I was there, I got the worst flu I'd ever had in my entire life. Cold shivers and body aches and the whole trip. And when I got home, I realized that there was a lump in my armpit, a swelling. And I went to the doctor, and he said, it's probably just your body's reaction to the flu. Your lymph nodes are trying to flush out the virus, and it's just not winning the battle. So it should go away in like 3 to 4 weeks. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, the flu was gone, but I still had the swelling of my lymph node in my armpit. So I went back to my doctor and I said to him, can we just check it out? Because I'm worried and I just want to know that it's fine. So he organized an ultrasound for me for my armpit at Mill Park Radiation. And the ladies there were very, very kind. They were amazing. And they said, no, we're not just doing an ultrasound. We're doing the whole thing. We're doing mammogram of both breasts. And then when they looked at the scan, she said to me, I'm not very happy with what I see here. You should come back for a biopsy tomorrow. So I went for the biopsy the next day. And she asked me, am I here alone? And I'd come by myself. She said, I think you should call your husband and have him come in. And she said, look, they're not very happy with what they saw. They're going to fast track the diagnosis through the pathology lab, and it should be ready on Monday. So when I signed the papers, it said, it takes a week. So I was quite relieved. I wouldn't have to wait that long. And I was very, very grateful that they had done that and just rushed it through. And then on the Monday, we went to see Professor Carol and Ben, and Willem went with me. And she said to me, it's definitely cancer, and it looks like her too. And she said the good news is that out of the 6 different kinds of cancers that you can get, HER2 is the one it's the easiest to treat right now, because they've got a very targeted drug, trastuzumab or something like that, that targets HER2. And I guess that was the start of it. The treatment plan was a series of chemo to reduce the size of the tumor, and after that would follow surgery. And then after surgery, radiation. I can't remember how many sessions of chemo I had. I think it was 19 or 20 sessions. We started in early November, and I finished at the end of February, I think, my chemotherapy. And it was once a month. It wasn't really, really intense because I was only stage 2, thankfully. I remember waiting for the CTI scan was one of the scariest moments, because that's when they check whether it's spread to any other part of your body. And they were quite worried about that because it was in my lymph node. So when the CT scan came back, they could confirm I'm stage 2, which was a huge relief. I decided to use some of the money that I got from Platinum Life to go to see my family in December in Cape Town and just spend a lot of time with them. And my chemotherapy was right in the middle of December, and one of the things that I could do was buy a flight ticket for me and my sister so she could fly back from Cape Town to be with me to do the chemo. And we had a nice girls' night, and then the next day we flew back to Cape Town. And the staff at Mill Park Radiology and the staff at the chemo lounge at Mill Park were absolutely amazing. I met so many amazing people, and the patients with cancer who were very kind and supportive. So I have so much to be grateful for. And I know not everybody in South Africa has access to that kind of medical treatment and that level of care. And the Breast Care Centre for Excellence at Mill Park, they were just amazing. They were, even when you walk in, like the decor is soft and feminine and nourishing and nurturing. So all those things make a difference when you're going through something so scary and that's so unknown and out of your control. So I was very blessed, very blessed. Things that helped me get through it, or that I'm grateful for, is I had a friend, Laura, who I met through biodanza, and I didn't know this, but the year before she'd had a double mastectomy. And it just so happens that while I was sitting at Mill Park Radiology waiting for my turn to go in for my scan, I was looking through my Instagram, and there Laura was celebrating her 1-year anniversary after her mastectomy and her recovery. So I sent her a little message to say, I'm sitting at Mill Park and I'm really scared, and I'm really grateful to see how wonderfully she'd come out at the other side. You know, I said, this post of yours was really encouraging because I am scared, and I'm happy to see a survivor who's really thriving. So she reached out to me and she became like my coach. You know, she was someone I could speak to who'd been through what I'd been through. And she shared a PDF with me that was written by a breast surgeon in the States who'd also had cancer. And after going through the allopathic medicine route, she wrote this PDF about how to support your body naturally. So I went on a 2-week vegetable juice fast in running up to my chemo before doing that. And I think it really helped prepare my gut for the onslaught of the chemotherapy, because the chemo attacks any cells in your body that grows rapidly, because that's what cancer does. And the lining from your mouth all the way through to your exit, it reproduces rapidly because we're eating food constantly, so it sloughs off. And so the chemo really attacks it. And the juice fasting, I think, helped my gut to be strong before I started. So I had a little bit of IBS, but then when I started doing juice fast the 5 days before my chemos, it really helped with my stomach unpleasantness and pain. And I managed it that way. And I have a friend who sells the Terra oils, very, very pure oils. And she gave me some nice recipes for the thrush that I got, because I got thrush from the constant ruddy tummy, and was oregano oil in a base of coconut oil, which I applied, which really relieved that. And you get sores on the inside of your mouth because the lining is also very thin and it keeps sloughing off. And I used on guard oil, which is clove oil and tea tree and a few other oils in a coconut base as well, to swill the inside of my mouth, and that really helped. So those are definite hacks that I highly recommend. For the IBS, I would drink a glass of psyllium husk in the morning for extra fiber, and in the evening I drink magnesium powder, also in a glass of water, just a little bit, because that softens your stool. So that's how I managed my digestive system, and drank lots of water, at least 1 liter of water every day with electrolytes in it, and rest. I'm very, very grateful that I had the ability to take that time off for almost a month in December, and take the days off when I had to do chemo, and take days off after the chemo, because the first 2 days you feel fine, and then by Monday the fatigue and the stomach problems really start. So yeah, rest and someone that you can talk to who understands what you're going through really, really helps. The results of my chemo was excellent. My body responded so well to the treatment and to the supplements I was taking and the rest. And I didn't want to do the surgery. I sort of asked my doctor, do I really still have to do the surgery because the tumor is reduced to like millimeters? And she assured me that, in terms of preventative care, it's better to just like go in and take it out. So I said, okay, fine, let's do the surgery. It was a little scary, especially waking up afterwards. I sent a note to Lara the day after and said, I really admire you so much because you had a double mastectomy, and I mean, I just had a reasonably small surgery to take this tumor out, but when I woke up, it was so sore. It burnt like a fire, and I can't imagine having that like on both sides of your chest. So I was like, I really admire a woman who go through this and who don't have the same option as me to just have a small surgery and literally have to have both breasts removed or a breast removed. And I was really grateful for how far breast cancer care has come. Because like back in the day, their first stop was just to remove the whole breast, and now they really, really are focused on breast preservation, which is why they recommended chemo and then the surgery and then radiation afterwards, because the first prize is to keep your breast. And it's one of the things that you think about when you first get your diagnosis. Is like, okay, am I now mentally having to prepare myself to lose my breast? And you think, that you're going to be okay with it, but it's actually it's huge. It's huge. I also have a friend, Susan, who had a lot more radical breast surgery, and we talked a lot, and she showed me her scars and talked to me about her procedure and that sort of thing. So yeah, I really do feel like I got off lucky. I was very, very blessed to still have both my breasts. And when I did the talk with the surgeon before, she said something to me that I hadn't realized, which was that because of the position of my tumor, if the tumor is too close to my nipple, they would have to remove my nipple, and that was a big shock. That was a huge shock, because then you really feel scarred, and I'm quite a sensual person, so I really like my nipples. And I was going to miss that one. So that was really scary. So the first thing I did when I woke up after my surgery is I said to the nurse, do I still have a nipple? And she said, yes, you still have a nipple. It's huge relief. And Lara explained to me, you lose sensation. There's like no sensation in your breast area because so many of the nerves get severed. And that's a huge loss for a woman, I think. So I'm very grateful I still have all of that. So yeah, it's such a journey. I didn't even know there were 6 different kinds of breast cancer before I was diagnosed. So she said to me, Dr. Ben, Professor Ben, she said, yeah, you're very lucky. It's the most treatable cancer. But it is the second most likely to reoccur. So that's also why chemo and surgery and the radiation. If you have a mastectomy, it takes your chance of recurrence down to 10%. And with the chemo, the surgery, and the radiation, I have exactly the same survival rate as someone who's had their entire breast removed. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for such a phenomenal team and for good advice. But I think it was 6 weeks after my surgery, I started radiation. I was supposed to start 6 weeks after my surgery, but there was a lot of backwards and forwards with my medical aid. And I said to my radio oncologist, I do not want to start the treatment until it's sorted out with the medical aid, because the last thing I need now is stress over huge hospital bills. And I'm very glad I did, because it took them ages to come to the party and just get all the codes and the paperwork and the permissions straightened out. And then once they'd now finally approved my radiation, I started. I can't remember how many sessions it was. I think it was 19 sessions. Monday to Friday, every day, for 15 minutes. Also at Mill Park, which is around the corner from my house. Again, such a blessing. And also just wonderfully kind people. And then there's another tip for people going through radiation. The room is very cold. They keep it cold because of the computer. And you have to wear a gown. And then when you lie down on the table, especially if it's for breast, they open the gown up. And then put a pillow, like a blanket over you, but it's cold. And it's got short sleeves. So your arms are going to get cold. You can just pull like long socks up to your arms, and then it keeps your breasts open so that they can do their measurements, because they do tattoos in the middle and on the sides to line you up every time. And that's basically why they need access to you. So definitely recommend that. And then I lost my socks. I still have no idea where the heck I put them. But then I remembered I had a little shrug that my mom gave me. And then I wore that to my radiation every day with a beanie. We never had cancer in our family. And then when my grandmother turned 67, she had a tumor in her stomach. So she had cancer. She had the surgery to have it removed. And she survived. And she lived until 92. So we said goodbye to her like 2 years ago. And then 2 months before I had my breast cancer diagnosis, my uncle Ashley was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So up until then, no, but now we do. And now my kid also has to go for ultrasounds every year for peace of mind, which we will, because catching it early is essential. I'm so grateful that I caught it early and that it was only stage 2. I think it made the whole thing a lot more manageable. And my results a lot more positive than it otherwise would have been. So I really, really, really encourage everybody that I speak to now to just go and have your scans if you're over 40, and do your self-exams if you're under 40. And if there's anything that you're worried about, check it out immediately. Because it can, I'm in remission, it can be stopped. Yeah. Where I needed platinum. It's so funny because I only took the policy out many years ago because if you don't get cancer, you get a payout after 60 or something like that. So I thought, I'm hedging my bets, because if I don't get cancer, I'll get a small payout, and that's fantastic. And if I do, then I got it. I never thought I would. And then it was actually very scary, because one of the first things that stressed me out after getting my diagnosis was the thought that, what if I get really, really sick and the sickness is going to financially destroy my family? Because I know medical aid only goes so far. And I didn't know what to expect. And I was really, really stressed out because we'd been through a really bad financial patch the year before. And I remember calling to cancel. And a young man called me back and said, do you really want to cancel? Can we not just reduce your premium and that sort of thing? And in the back of my mind, I recalled, but I'm sure we agreed to lower it, and I'm sure I should still have it. But I didn't recall seeing an email to say, okay, it's been lowered and that. So I was really stressed out, and I thought, what if I had cancelled this thing and now I really need it? And it was like a stone in my stomach, and I didn't even want to speak to Willem about it because I felt such regret for cancelling this thing that I don't need. And I went back through my emails and I found the email where I'd said, okay, let's reduce it. And then I sent an email to your team, to the support team, and said, is my policy still in place? And the lady came back to me and she said, yes, it is. I was so relieved. And then I thought, oh my gosh, but I've reduced my premium. So, maybe I'm just going to get a little bit out, but that's so much better than nothing. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get half of what I was expecting. And she sent me the forms. I filled in the forms. I sent them off. And it felt like a long time to wait because now I'm anxious. But it wasn't a very long time at all. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. And and I was paid out double the amount that I expected I was going to be paid out. So it was such a huge relief. I was so grateful. I can't even begin to tell you the huge relief that I had, because it meant that if there's any surprises, I've got a little bit of money. And most of all, I really just wanted to spend time with my family. I really, really just felt like an overwhelming need to be with the people that I love. Because you realize very quickly, how much you take for granted. And so I am just grateful, deeply, deeply grateful that I didn't cancel, and that I still had my policy, and that it was paid so effortlessly once I submitted all the right documentation. And the kindness that I was treated with over the phone and emails was just, when you sign up the first time, they send you this little package, and there's a cardboard in it with all these pictures of happy families of people who needed them before and had been paid out. And you always wonder, is it just a marketing gimmick? Are they really this good or this kind? And it was. So, yeah. And it was a huge relief to not have to worry about money for a while, and to be able to, do the things that make life good in the moment, because that's all you have. And the little gifts in between were very, very sweet. I got the big box with the sun hat and the sarong and the book, and it's so thoughtful, because you really feel vulnerable. And the more people you have around you who actually care, it makes a huge difference. And to get this kind of treatment from people that you've never even met, to show that they're thinking about you, and really it makes you feel seen. So yeah, I am incredibly grateful that I took the decision to take out that policy with Platinum Life when I did. I don't even know how many years ago it was. I know it's a good couple of years, and I'm very grateful to that young man who talked me into keeping it. It turned out very good for me. Why I'm grateful my friend referred me to Platinum Life is that when I needed financial support to give me peace of mind so that I could focus on what was really, really important, I had that. And I can't even begin to tell you how you don't need stress in your life when you've just got a cancer diagnosis. And finances is a huge stressor. And to just be able to put that aside and focus on my health and focus on my family, it just gave me breathing room. So I can't remember which friend put my name on that list, but I'm very grateful that they did, because I didn't know I was going to need it. But I had it when I needed it. So yeah, I'm very grateful to that friend and to Platinum Life, and for the excellent service that they've given me over the years, and for the wonderful support that they've given me now during my cancer treatment. I'm very grateful that I kept it, that I kept that policy even when times were tough. And yeah, so definitely tell your call center guys to do that. Keep encouraging people to rather just reduce their premium rather than cancel altogether. Because, if you end up getting cancer and you need it, it's there. And if you are blessed enough to not get cancer, then, you'll get your payout when you turn 60. So it's a win-win. There's a lot of pressure when you get a cancer diagnosis, because people have a lot of advice about what to do and what not to do. And there's a lot of pressure about, following natural routes versus taking your chemo or doing radiation and all that sort of stuff. And anybody out there who's got a cancer diagnosis and is feeling pressurized one way or the other, I just want to say, you know, it's your body and it's your life. So make a decision for yourself that you're happy with, and rest. But do what you feel is the right thing for you, and then stay the course and block out the noise.